The purpose of the Un-convoluted Hierarchy Podcast is to help you better understand your work environment as I break down my own experiences as mid-level management of road construction. Greetings, navigators, and welcome back to another episode of the Un-convoluted Hierarchy Podcast. I am your host, Kenny Rogers.
Come on, man. Sit the fuck down.
In the Word Up segment of the show, we introduce a new word, or a word hardly used in everyday speech. Word up. Vanquisher. One that defeats an enemy or opponent.
I shall strike thee down whilst you sleep. Vanquish!
What the? Gosh. No more carbs after 8.
Vanquisher!
Jesus. Seems so real.
Don't forget to order your copy of the Un-convoluted Hierarchy Workbook to help you navigate your work environment. The link is in the bio.
Getting to a solid mental space to see order in chaos is not easy. Most of us live for many years not knowing we should look for opportunity in madness. Convolution and disorder is always easy to see in any circumstance or event. A mother eagle destroying the nest she raised her eaglets in seems like a cataclysmic event for her babies.
Mom! What are you doing? Oh no! Did a parasite invade Mom's brain? Mom did eat some of those yucky worms she fed us. This is crazy! Does that mean we're going to go berserker too? It's already happening! Help! Help! Help us! Help us! We're going to fall out of the cuckoo's nest!
Their chaos is causing them to discover who they are and what they are capable of. Eagles can fly higher than any foul clad of the air. The eaglet is now a sky-sailing eagle that flies even higher when destructive, violent, chaos-causing tornadoes come. They don't become a part of the vortex. They rise above it. Metaphorically, we can do the same thing when we seek what we can learn in times of turbulence. Sometimes, when it seems like you are losing, you are actually winning. Here is a clip from my audio-video diary some years ago when I thought people were clipping my wings, but they were actually causing me to spread them, flying high above the allegorical carnage.
I've been sharing a lot about leadership and you reap what you sow, karma kind of thing. And it's not pleasing to witness karma or people reaping what they sow or having the wrong idea about a person or definitely themselves. I've shared with you guys that the cancel culture got in the way of an opportunity for me in a higher position with more leadership roles and responsibilities. And I've also shared with you that everything worked out just fine. They won their battle to cancel me out of a opportunity, but it did not affect my pay. And long story short, because I've already shared with you guys, they think that they won, but I actually won. I won. I have so much peace, and I see the beauty in the protection whenever it seems like failure. And you actually sometimes win when it looks like you're losing. So anyway, just a quick update on this whole karma deal. And sometimes you don't really get a chance to see people reap what they have sown, in ill fashion. On this particular project that I'm on, people had and may still have the wrong idea about who I am as a human being, and even as a leader. A lot of people call themselves leaders, and oftentimes it's really easy to see that they have the wrong idea about themselves. And there are some of us that know we are leaders. We are born to lead, because I do believe leadership can be developed. And I also firmly believe that some people were born to actually lead. You just have those qualities in the mindset and the sharpness and just the wherewithal. Like, I love business. I just love business. I love community and being able to orchestrate a cohesive vibe in an atmosphere. That's just who I am. And, I just understand how things work. And at the forefront, of course, you need to know how to do your job. But at the same time, the forefront of leadership is understanding people, man. I mean, I absolutely believe that if you don't understand people, you can know a job from top to bottom. But if you don't understand how to communicate with people and it's not a one size fits all. Some people need a firm tone. Some people, you can just be gentle and nice, but it also, you have to understand how to finesse, and finessing doesn't always look gentle. You may come with a firm tone only because this guy won't get it if you don't kind of like give it to him, and then, keep him balanced. Don't knock him down, but it's like a balance. And some people you can just be flat out nice to because they respect you and they respect your mind and your courtesy to treat another person like a human being. It's over the past several years, and I'm talking about 10 years or so, maybe longer, I have really come to a knowing or a better understanding that one of the biggest problems in the world with people is people don't know themselves. People don't know who they really are. People have this imagination that's totally false about themselves. And if a person doesn't understand themselves, there is absolutely no way they will be able to understand someone else or be able to pick up on subtleties in someone else, so you'll know how to approach a person, or you can take a different angle because you picked up on something. But whenever you are oblivious to your own actions and who you are, you can be listening to a person that is actually offering profound wisdom about leadership or anything else, but how you see that person, perception is almost everything. Whenever you have a false sense of self and you have this superiority complex about you, someone can be offering wisdom on such a high level, but what you hear is nonsense because it's so above your thought process. It's so above their thought process to where they can't even comprehend the level of wisdom a person is articulating. And it sounds pretty much ridiculous and stupid. And they'll correct you and bring you down to some basement logic, about their point of view. And wise people or people who are, on a higher energy frequency, it's like you just hold your head. It's like, oh my God, did you just counter my wisdom and experiences with something elementary? And you have this air about you. That happens a lot everywhere. A lot of people go through it. Even the people who do that, receives it. And then they feel wronged, but they don't see that dude. you do the exact same thing, but it's naivety to naivety a lot of times, which stirs up the ego. It just flares up because a lot of people carry themselves to where they don't want to understand. They just want to spew out whatever is floating around in their head so they can seem right. They can be dead wrong about their perception because they're not even listening. And sometimes they could be right about their rebuttal, but their rebuttal is really no rebuttal because they weren't listening. So now they'll say, no, it's XYZ. And the person's like, I just said XYZ. That's exactly what I just said. And I don't know, it's so weird because people are detached. People don't know themselves. People have egos, and people don't listen. They don't listen because of those things. And, it's been, honestly, it's nothing new. What I'm saying right now is nothing new. I just like to try and articulate it in such a way to where, some people listening may be like, you know what? That's exactly right. And it may be common, or maybe you're just glad someone else is actually saying what you are experiencing. But my experience, like I said, I'm in a good place, man. I'm in a really good place, mentally, spiritually. And I see long time coming kind of thing, but I'm still mindful and I connect dots even when I'm not trying to. I'm already in a good place, and sometimes I'm pretty spiritual. I believe in God. Sometimes it's like a prayer. It's like, God, thank you for putting me at peace and putting me in a scenario to where, I'm good, and I'm grateful, 100% grateful. But sometimes it's like we've all been here before. It's like, but are they just going to be able to get away with how they treat people? It's not just me, it's just the convoluted nature of thought processes and the absence of knowing self is ridiculous. And it's like, you nor I can do anything about that. We can't do anything about that. That's why, I'll go mute in a heartbeat whenever I recognize someone's not listening or someone's not perceiving. I had a guy tell me once, he's arrogant, good guy, but he didn't know he was functioning in accidental narcissism. And he had this air about him to where we were communicating, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm a great listener. He's not. But when he said it, because long story short, and kind of understanding who he is, when he said it, my thought was, there's good listeners, but I need a good understander. I need someone to I need you to understand, not just hear what I'm saying, understand what I'm saying. And I'll go mute whenever I know perceptions are askew. I guess I'm trying to get to the point of, we have to grow up to a point to know what I'm trying to say and share. Some people aren't listening, and some people can't perceive what you're saying, although you are exquisite in your articulation of what you're saying. It is clear as a cloudless sky in the daytime. And what they hear, because of their experiences, is something far left from what you actually mean. And I've seen it to where people spend far too much time trying to reduce what they're trying to convey And they'll sit there and reduce it and reduce it and reduce it. And they'll keep going and going and going until the point it almost turns into an argument, versus knowing, oh, it doesn't matter what I say, they're not going to get it right now. It doesn't matter how I say it. It doesn't matter what I say. Quite honestly, they already have their minds made up anyway about whatever we're talking about. And in large part, it's because people oftentimes already have their minds made up about you. It's not even really about what you're saying. They have their minds made up about you. You are lesser than, you are beneath, you are not on my level. So they'll listen or hear a wise person speak, but because they don't think much of this wise person, they're not even consuming the knowledge or the wisdom, because this person is beneath me and whatever he's saying, is probably wrong anyway, so they don't even listen. I'm saying all of this because, I'm thinking about, honestly, my entire life, but definitely my most recent, and people having this poor perception of me. And believe me, I'm not butthurt. I am not like belly aching about it, but I'm just trying to express, pay attention even whenever you feel wronged about a thing, because the truth comes out. The results comes out. If you're paying attention, you're not just this disgruntled person, just angry and hurt. Chill, find the good and the bad, pay attention, and I'm telling you, exponentially your peace will rise. Because again, I said before, because the rule works. Now, people here on this current project, as I film this, they have this sideways perception for a few reasons that I really won't go into, because I'm not 100% sure about one main one that can really cause, separatism of human beings. But I know, I'll put it like this. I know there's an immense amount of jealousy. And I know that. And it is what it is. It doesn't have to be that way, because honestly, whenever you treat people good and you haven't done anything ill to anybody and they hate you anyway, of course it's jealousy. You guys know, you've heard the stories about, if you don't have any haters, you're probably not doing anything right, or not doing anything at all worthwhile. So this hate, this disconnect and jealousy, because they didn't want to have to, no one wanted to have to take direction from me. I had people above me jealous because I actually do know how to command a room. I do know how to organize. Forget about it. Care about people, I'm all the way in there. It's like, we're not just going to talk about work. How are you doing? How are you? That kind of guy. And the people above, they saw that, I was actually coming in with these new ideas and saying things that was like just common knowledge for me, but it was like, whoa to them. And then, you have the people beneath that was just being imputed with toxic ideas. And all these guys had known each other, well before I came along. So it was very toxic, and no one wanted to have to take direction from me, because, some of these guys are my age and, some older even. So they had a hard time with that. So they weren't actually seeing the performance and the protection I offered and the information and the fairness that I was giving. All they saw what was in their head. I mean, you could do anything. You could give someone a birthday cake, and instead of being grateful that you were being that thoughtful, they'll look like, okay, what's up with this? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you do. All they see is ill. And it got back to me, you know, in their minds and their comprehension that, you know, I got like canceled out of an opportunity because I wasn't ready. That was their logic to basically, one of my favorite words is cognitive dissonance. It's nothing I've ever shown. You know, they have no evidence of me not being prepared or ready for a particular opportunity. But that was their thought process because of how they viewed me. They couldn't even see all the good that I was doing. They couldn't even see the fairness and the cohesive unity I was trying to bring together. They couldn't see it. They just figured I wasn't ready. Okay. I mentioned before, people, you know, above me or that were at my level at the time, they thought they're in leadership positions, and because they were able to remain in their, you know, semi-leadership roles, that they had this authoritative, I must be wiser kind of attitude, just superiority complex. And I said it before, but whenever I got blocked from that opportunity, nothing changed except for my peace and me not being the middleman anymore. That's the only thing that changed. But things got worse and more convoluted, and I've said that before. Things got so crazy with people that had this thought process about me. People are getting let go. You know, people are getting, you know, removed from this project. I'm still here. And these are the ones that had this idea that I just wasn't ready for it. Okay. The opportunity got blocked and was allowed to be blocked by something higher than us, because that was protection for me. That was going to restore and help me maintain my peace. And it has. Again, I make the same money, and my peace is more valuable than money. But people who had these ill ideas, who stayed in those, you know, leadership roles, not only did new opportunity, by the way, for the person, maybe a year in this higher position, and they didn't get demoted, they got completely removed from the project. Completely removed. Again, I'm still here. And it's not about me, them. It's about the comprehension of processes. It's about the comprehension of your circumstances and your environment. See, I changed to where the circumstances remained, but I changed. And now my peace is higher, and none of that affects me at all. At all. At all. And I was still, I'm still here currently as I shoot this video, while I witness things get more crazy, and people who, had this ill idea about me get released, not necessarily fired, but they're no longer on this project. It's sad. It is the process. The universal law does work. You reap what you sow does work. Karma is real. And everyone has to bear their cross. It doesn't feel good for as what happened. Because I know I've been in scenarios, back in the day, to where the anxiety, if that were me, the anxiety would have been through the freaking roof. But it's like, and I guess that's what I feel for, the person who got released from this project. It's like, hopefully there's not like this insane anxiety, chaos going on in his head. I know there's not a level of peace in his head, so it's going to be one of the two, being either anxiety because of just being, recently released from this project, or severe anger and finger pointing and just staying awake at night and just having these thought processes about meanness and anger and blame, versus having peace about, or not necessarily peace, but being clear-minded enough to see what happened, what really happened. Being able to be like, oh shoot, that was me. And I have some blame in this. I know that he's a little bit fiery, and and they've been after this guy for a while. That's why I'm grateful that I'm human. I know I come across as the nice guy, and I am, but I have some dark thoughts at times. Don't act out on them, because I don't like confrontation. And it goes back to what I was saying, knowing they won't even get it anyway. If I lash out, if I really give them a piece of my mind because I'm sick of this crap kind of thing. And being wise enough to just be like, all right, for me, all right, God, you're going to have to deal with that. I have these thoughts that I don't want. I hate having these mean, darn near evil thoughts about what I can say and what I could do, to let these people know, hey, kind of thing. But I don't act out on it because, it's like I'm reminded, use wisdom, man. Look at who you're dealing with. They won't even get it. And then you'll still enlarge the target on your back. And then you will cause them to react, and it'll solidify their imagination, because now you're acting ugly, and that's all they've seen in their heads, and now you're actually giving it to them, and that's all they need, to make life miserable. So I'm grateful that I never acted out, because I just have this sneaking suspicion that he did. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was the reason. That's all they needed. About, okay, you're gone. You're off this project. And it could have something to do with work performance too. I won't get into all of that, but I know some things would be like, oh, okay. I just hope he's all right. And I hope that he learns something of value, not about somebody else, but about himself. They probably were both wrong, he and the team, but screw that noise about them fix yourself. Understand you. Understand how to conduct yourself in the midst of chaos. Understand your level of peace, because you know, for me, I do self-analyzations like constantly. I check myself first, even if I hear something, or I feel some kind of way, or I know something is factual, I'll still analyze my thoughts to make sure I'm right, and leave it alone when I know someone won't really understand, or again, understanding who I'm talking to. You could have all the wisdom in the world, but if you're pouring it on a rock, it's wasted, and now the rock's mad. Anyhow, it's just another quick well, not really quick, it's been 30 minutes. It's just another audio video diary that I was able to witness, and get closure, if you will. It is a hint of closure that the rule works. You reap what you sow. Karma is real. Keep your peace and keep your mouth shut.
Don't forget to order your copy of the Un-convoluted Hierarchy Workbook to help you navigate your work environment. The link is in the bio.
It's easier to keep up with new episodes when you click the follow button and turn on notifications. Remember, my fellow navigators, circumstances don't change. You do. See you next time.